Well, it was an incredibly dominant performance there by the side of Antic, and whilst there was some promising moments, you'd have to say there, for the side of Kanga, it wasn't enough to try and eclipse any kind of edge in that game, right? Obviously, you get the first blood there for Refury, thinking that's good. Invictus obviously performs really, really well on the brand, but for the most part, the pace of the game was just well in control of Antic there.
And that really was what it came down to, was the control. It felt like Antic on every single play, they were the ones pulling the trigger first. They were the ones capitalizing and catching out out-of-position members. And we'll have to see how Kanga are able to respond in Game 2, because yes, the drafts wasn't really going in their favor, but it also was dominant performances from Ryoma and King to secure that victory in Game 1.
And there it is. That was my sort of consideration, right? Would it be the smaller ban, or do you actually want to allow it to go through and then say we've got something prepared for it? So that's the first deviation from the ban phase of Game 1. As for Antic, they've still stuck to their guns of banning away the Udyr, Varus, and the Karma. Nothing changing on their part. But it begs the question then for Kanga, what do they feel is more necessary? Would it be the Orianna or the Ashe?
Yeah, it's either way you're kind of losing, aren't you? Especially with Ryoma, we know if he gets that Orianna or Azir is really going to be feeling good and putting the pressure on Refury in that mid lane. Orianna feels fantastic playing into Talia, who really wants to be against a champion that she can punish in terms of that mobility. But it will be the Ashe taken away here with that final ban from Kanga. So really targeting that bot lane, especially a TF as well, showing respect to both King, Ryoma, and Zoranus, as we know how flexible that champion can be. So with a lot left on the line here, what do Antic go towards for their first pick? And it's going to be the Kalista.
Yeah, just a return to fame, really, isn't it? A case of saying, well, you can ban away all these premier champions. So we'll still pick up the go-to as a result. Wouldn't be too surprised if they just want to try and go for the Renata right afterwards. But let's see what the response is from Kanga. We certainly have seen the prevalent choices be a case of slamming down the Xayah Rakan and saying, let's just go for the overall best pick that shouldn't really lose too hard. But it hasn't usually worked out too well. This lane's tending to still just get a very dominant lead, and more time needing to be afforded to them. But Styx is like, okay, finally, Ezreal's up, I'm slamming it in.
This is interesting here. So Styx's comfort pick will be finally picked up for Kanga in that bot lane. Now, the matchup versus Kalista is one that is certainly quite volatile. Kalista can kind of run away with the lane if you're not careful, especially if she's able to find those kills early. And you can see the hover coming through here. I'd be very surprised if they actually did just blind lock in a Pyke here, instead going to head towards this brand here for the jungle. So certainly, I mean, kind of looming the threat of that Pyke over their heads, but not locking it in just yet.
Certainly are. It's exciting times though, as the Vi was banned away in Game 1, and this time it's a very easy pickup then for Swiper to say, oh, lock that one in, and if the Orianna's not banned as well, is it a consideration, or does he return back to his coveted Azir? No, he says, you ban this away, I'll show you how to operate it.
It's kind of like that Nocturne Orianna combo that we saw yesterday, right, in which that you just have this super easy ball delivery system. This time, it'll be the Vi who is able to lock down that Ezreal regardless of how much mobility he's able to put on the table. So a nice pickup here to be able to really shut down that pick and kind of target the comforts of Kanga. But Refury will be going for his Syndra here as the response to Orianna. So once again, this double kind of mage mid-jungle coming out from Kanga does provide a lot of value in something like a Mercurial Treads. We'll have to see how the Antic mid-jungle are able to navigate this, because there's so much damage coming out from this mid-jungle.
There certainly is. There's an abundance of damage. It's going to be a pretty terrifying prospect as a result. So Kanga say, we want to make sure that we're in the driving seat when it comes to doing DPS. Let's try and limit the amount that you can do. And especially, let's try and control this bot lane a little bit more. So if you don't decide to lock in that Renata in that first free, we will just simply ban it away. As to be expected, you certainly wouldn't see it go any other way. But for Antic, it's a case of, well, let's try and prevent you from giving any kind of disengage. So we don't see too much Braum, but it's going to be banned away on this occasion.
Well, this is probably going to force out a Nautilus ban from the side of Kanga. They don't want to give over that Ezreal Braum combo, which is so fantastic at disengaging against something like a Kalista. But you've removed the Nada, and that Nautilus engage still exists, so they will take that one away here. And now the question becomes, what do you actually pair with Kalista? Because we've seen Renata and Nautilus basically make up almost 90% of the pairings that this champion is seen with. And it'll actually be the Pyke respector. And you can see Kurak kind of chuckling to himself. Not sure if he was actually going to pick that one at any stage. But now it's a scary prospect. Do you blind pick your top, or do you blind pick your support? Either way, you're going to be counterpicked. And either way, I'm sure Antic will be looking to punish.
Well, it does become quite interesting, right? Because we certainly saw the 5th pick saved for Wood on last game. And whilst it worked phenomenally well, He did get shut down in the end. It does look like they're quite content to save that pick for him once again and make sure that he does get the best chance to try and give them at least one guaranteed winning lane. But it's the Bard that comes back out to showcase its skill set again. And we've already seen Kurek play this twice. It has been his second most played, in fact. And with the Ezreal, it's just a perfect matchup, isn't it? You leave Ezreal to his own devices. He roams around the map and tries to almost outmaneuver Draku.
And we've seen Kanga look very good when Kurek does have the kind of keys to the castle to be able to roam around the map and make plays on his own accord. Now, will be answered by a Maokai here from Draku, so that kind of idea of leaving Ezreal alone in the lane becomes a lot more scary when you know how much engage he is facing, right? Especially Maokai, able to tank turrets, able to even kill Ezreal in dives, knowing that he has both the W and Kalista ultimate to provide a form of disengage. So we'll be very excited to see how this bot lane actually functions, whether Styx and Crack will be able to stay alive and exert their double range advantage to secure themselves a lead, or whether Antic, like they have so many times in the past, will be able to find a gap in that armor and expose this bot lane.
Well, with all that time in consideration, some things just always stay the same, don't they, Max? It's a case of them running it back again once more in that top lane with the K'Sante into Aatrox matchup. And whilst it worked really well for Wooden to start things off with, I think what really sort of disrupted his control was that lane swap, which netted them, netted Antic a kill. They flipped it back to bot lane again and said, look, your sort of control of that lane has been completely ruined as a result. And as for Reef Fury, I think he, despite maybe not having the most impressive KDA by the end of the game, to get the first blood and to be aggressive as he was, to not be too afraid by Ryoma, I think is a huge vote of confidence. So I'm excited to see what those two solo lanes from Kanga can do again.
Well, they're definitely playing like there is no pressure on this game, and that's kind of what you'd be hoping, given that both teams have secured the playoffs right now. And like you mentioned before, that is Antic securing that second seed with that first win. So they've gone back to kind of that traditional team comp here from the side, from the blue side. A very stock standard 5v5 comp, which relies around your jungle support rather, finding the primary engage and really creating space for King and Ryoma to do the DPS. And on the other hand, Kanga, what feels like unorthodox but is really just the normal for them. A lot of damage, a lot of explosiveness in every single role, and not much tankiness to go with it.
That is the common theme for me, though, isn't it? The fact that there is such a disparity between the amount of tanky members. I look at Kanga and say, obviously you have a world of pain, so much damage, but if you're behind, who face checks? Whoever goes into a bush to say, let's look to try and contest this objective, because for Antic, if you have a face check, you're getting hit by so many different combos, and at that point you're thinking, if they get tanky enough, is there enough damage for Kanga to even get through that front line? Lots of questions, so let's get those answers as we load into Summoner's Rift for game number 2. Antic, having won game 1, they've locked in second place in the seedings, and will be very happy that they can come into this one with a degree of pressure, I guess, once again alleviated, given that all these teams are looking for playoffs now, but they know exactly where they stand.
Yeah, everybody finally locked in now, and we can see that Kanga, this Ezreal's gone for an exhaust here into Kalista, so a fantastic summoner spell, and since there's no cleanse from King, we'll be able to actually find its full value in kind of shutting him down, both damage, attack speed, and movement-wise, all things that Kalista really hates to have restricted. Meanwhile, Draku's opted for the Aftershock, so not the Glacial Augment, as opposed to the Aftershock, which we do often see to provide that extra little bit of tankiness in the bot lane.
Tankiness certainly is the name of the game, but Draku certainly doesn't seem to really care about it, just wants all the utility, and this seems to be a staple here from Antic. They love to go for the invades, maybe doing it more so than any other team in the league thus far, but Draku, going in with that Twisted Advance, realizes that, look, it's not that initial kill that we were hoping for. Kanga well prepared for the invade on their blue buff, and he's forced to flash to safety.
Skimmy, I don't believe it. We've actually seen an answer to a level 1 invade from Antic. It feels like every time they go for this with a Kalista, it just goes in their favor.
Yeah.
But this time, it's that nice preparation. Kurek landing the Bard Stun, flashing after the initial engage comes out from Draku. It's going to allow their blue buff to still go over to them. And meanwhile, they'll actually be able to secure the bot lane priority as well. So from what could have been a very, very bad start for them, actually ends up going quite in their favor.
It's really well done, as you say, for it to finally get punished. It seems almost too predictable at this point. They're getting away with murder in that regard as we go into our customary pause. But I suppose let's talk a little bit more at length as to what these teams are both looking to achieve, because I sort of touched on it for at least my perspective for Kanga, right? It's all this damage. They want to be aggressive. They want to be getting kills. They want to say that it's just not going to be enough time for you to get those 2 to 3 items to come online where you have so much resilience that we just can't get through you. But I suppose taking a step back, Max, how do you view these comps and their win cons overall?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with Kanga there. They do just want to kill, and if they get the tables turned on them, they will be falling down quite quickly as well. Whereas Antic have gone for this really easy to execute team composition, and that's not a dig at them, that's just going back to what they know in terms of being able to have this Vi who's able to lock down that one target, have the Orianna ball coming across as well, and all the while you've got a Maokai and K'Sante buying space for Kalista. Now, the thing with a comp like that is it's fantastic at blowing up one target, but if Kanga can get ahead enough, who actually becomes that priority target? Because suddenly you're not only worried about an Ezreal and a Syndra, but there's also a Brand and an Aatrox who are able to carry the fight in terms of damage if their teammates fall down. So it'll certainly be interesting to see how the lanes unfold, how these leads sort of go, because if there is a universe in which Woodon is able to, you know, flip the script on last game, keep that CS lead but not fall down in that 1v1, we could be in a very scary position.
We certainly could be, and I think speaking about scary situations, I feel like there's a lot of outplay potential for these two mid laners to showcase their mechanical prowess. Obviously, we saw last night the ability for the Orianna to almost like conceal their orb inside that tower to get the stealthy shockwave off. But at the same time, a Syndra can certainly do the same as well, right? Hide out of vision and suddenly hit a scatter of the weak that stuns multiple members at the same time. If that were to happen, overlap that with a bit of damage from the Brand, suddenly you are in a world of trouble. And there is, on this occasion, no Kindred Land Respite to bail you out for that easy one-shot.
Yeah, not going to have that extra layer of safety there, as once again we take a look in the mid lane and Ryoma on this Orianna. I feel like every time we see him play this champion, the opponent laner is under their turret, and that's absolutely going to be the case here. You can see one pot bird for either mid laner, but the trading just going overwhelmingly in favor of this Orianna. The Comet picked up as well to provide that extra little poke in lane. And because of that priority, it's going to allow him to actually get that ward up onto the enemy Raptors. That's going to spot where Invictus has been. So they have a good idea that he's completed his full clear towards the top side. Meanwhile, Swiper, a little bit behind in the clear, as you would expect in terms of this matchup. We'll just be completing the blue buff now, but this does create a significant window in which Invictus can try to leverage this top priority and either get the Scuttle Crab or look for an invade.
Yeah, Scuttle Crab invade, or perhaps Poppy head into mid lane where Ryoma really has been running riot and doing as he pleases. Constant harassing to Fury, who's keeping him interested for the meantime. Looking to try and hit that Scatter of the Week, and it certainly is successful into the Pillar of Flame stun. And watch him just combust into the after damage that a Brand can deliver.
Cool, guys. Do not look at explosions. Invictus there walks away knowing his job is done after picking up that first butt in the mid lane. And plain and simple, it's just a bit of greed there from Ryoma on the flash. He knows that the second that he sees Invictus, that the Scatter of the Week from Fury will be coming. It just manages to clip him on the end there. And the second that stun lands, Invictus flashes in, lands the Brand combo with the stun again to chain that on top of it. And with that Electrocute coming through, will be enough to pick up first blood. So, much like last game, Invictus getting off to a very hot start, no pun intended, on this Brand.
I like that one. That was very clever there, mate. That's why you're the analyst on this occasion. And yeah, no doubt, as he goes back to base, instantly picks up the blasting one. Darkseal picked up two, and certainly does really want to replicate that Game 1 performance where he gets ahead early. He is able to really do as much as he can. And I think the biggest change up for me would be the fact that can we get a little bit more priority around those Void Grubs? To give over 6 to a team like Antic, when they had all that push and priority, really was their downfall.
And that's the hope, right? We check in top lane, Woodon has a significant health advantage as well as priority, and that should enable a little bit of freedom for Invictus to head towards this early objective. We know how quickly Brand is able to take these, because he can proc 3 instances of his passive simultaneously on those camps. Means that it basically just ceases to exist if you give him any alone time with that. Now, meanwhile, you can see in the mid lane the trades are going in favor of Ryoma, but there's still a TP here for Fury, so you have to keep in mind he does have that easy access of getting back to base whenever he wants, healing up fully, and then re-entering the lane. So after game 1 went, you know, quite against them in terms of that mid lane and how much Ryoma was able to do, it's looking nice for them here in game 2.
It certainly is, and based on the positioning bit red side for Kanga, if they were in a very defensive place, then they could have certainly sniped that one across the wall and just stag one for themselves very easily. But on vision, Invictus says, what are you going to do about it, Antic? You're not going to contest me on this, and he's going to go and snag himself all 3 That certainly makes it easy then for Swipe and the rest of their team to play around bot side and get a little bit more aggressive here. Thirst Dragon looking to go their way as Dragu threatens with that twisted advance, but certainly doesn't want to get baited by an arcane shift away from Styx.
Just forcing out the flash there is Fury with that Unleashed Tower. Really chunking down Ryoma, who doesn't have teleport. Now, crucially, we've seen Fury greed before, and Skimmy, he does it again.
He certainly does. Unfortunately for him, too keen to try and get that kill into Ryoma, seeing how low he is in both HP and mana. We'll have to get a replay to see exactly what happened there, but you can imagine a flash being burnt. He's just been done under tower.
Yeah, that would have to be the case there. The initial play is really nice with that ultimate to be able to force out the flash from Orianna, who doesn't have TP. If you just leave him in that situation, you get to use your own TP back, have control of the wave, but unfortunately falls down there. And yes, as the Void Grub's going over to Kanga, the trade will be that first dragon picked up by Swiper here on this Vi, who playing around his points of strength here. You can see this Kalista is feeling pretty good, but we take a look once again at the mid lane. Scatter the Weak does land, and Fury has a pretty significant health advantage. Once that QW is used from Ori, it's really the go button here to continue on with this trade. The Shockwave committed as well. Nothing really to answer back with from this Orianna. And that's the initial play that we saw. We'll have to see how the kill actually happens, because Fury, I think, he might have tried to miscalculate the damage here. Just hits the stun, but doesn't land the Q, Skimmy, and that's the damage that would have killed Ryoma.
It certainly would have, but yeah, as he flashes in, he gains aggro at the tower, and the tower's like, I'll get the job done for you here, Ryoma, don't worry about it. He had no mana. He didn't really have any way to try and respond to that play, apart from that empowered auto attack, and no doubt will be happy how those events did transpire in the end. Shockwave once again being used, seemingly on cooldown at this point. Trim the wave and also trim the HP bar of this Syndra as he waits for the cooldown of that distance to come back up alive, and you've just come back to lane, but you're dead once again.
Solo kills galore in the mid lane here. Off the back end of that, though, Swiper will be caught out in his own jungle. A nice maneuver from Invictus and Kurak to secure this red buff respawn timer. And I guess because of that skirmishing in the mid lane, there isn't the threat of the Orianna coming down. So once again, it will be Invictus who is the main benefactor out of that play. But the mid lane Ryoma, you can see the second he gets a foothold in the lane, how dominant he can be. And that second solo kill, realizing that there's no flash to come through from the Syndra. The Scatter the Weak had also been used. Just nothing to answer back with.
Nothing at this stage, and just as you can see in the bot lane, no need for Antic to get too angsty here and try and force their hand into the slightly depleted HP bar there of the Ezreal, who, to be fair, is keeping up pace here with this Kalista. You'd expect the Kalista to absolutely crush things, but the constant threat of that exhaust and the ability to get baited by a twisted advance right underneath your tower certainly means that Antic can't push a tempo and can't push their lead maybe as much as they were hoping for.
Definitely not at this early stages, right? You can see the jungle CS lead now about 15. The Swiper will steal away that Raptor camp. It's going to come down to how this Vi is able to move around Ryoma, right? With the lead that he has in the mid lane, pairing up with that Orianna will be your #1 priority, especially as we have another set of grubs spawning. Now look at where Antic are moving. We can see that this is another one of their famous lane swaps. They've brought King up towards this top lane in preparation for this next grub spawn. Now, everyone besides Styx from the side of Kanga is relatively in the area, and this ward from Wudon will spot this play before it starts.
Yeah, don't tell me it happens again, Max. Surely not the same play working out with the same result. It would be criminal. But either way, Wudon is going to bear the brunt of this aggression for the meantime and say, Invictus, please assist me right here and now. Kurak primed and ready to go. He's made the great trek up to top lane as well and is looking to try and hit that Cosmic Bind to the stun of King, who thankfully jumps across the wall in time. Clutched by him. Doesn't have to burn the flash. The Martial Poise enough.
That is a man who trusts himself and trusts his mechanic. Doesn't use the flash even when Bard is awfully close here. But Draku will cast the Nature's Grasp here. Locks up some members of Kanga. And the grubs are going down ever so quickly, Skimmy.
They certainly are. The Nature's Grasp combined with the Glacial Augment slows them down for what feels like an eternity. It's enough for Antic to walk on in and steal away one. They need to take away two to deny these Void Grubs. The fight starts now. Swiper goes in. They track out one. But now in jumps King to the Tempered Fates. There's no DPS right now, and Antic are lagging behind. Ryoma lagging from the backside, but he still has that Shockwave. Bear that one in mind. Scatter the Weak connecting onto one member at this point, but Wudon is low on HP and stuck inside the pit, waiting for that dash across the wall. They'll deny that Void Grubs. There will not be And he's spawning his Void Mites here, and you're surprised that not many more members fell on down.
Yeah, it looked like it could have been an all-out brawl there as Six is just going to face check into Zoran as there's no all-out though for him. He's getting aggressive and there's no Ghost here, but the Ezreal just doesn't have the damage at this stage, and what could have been a melee there ends up just being quite a subdued occasion. Crucially, there are 2 Void Grubs picked up from Antic, so they will be able to deny that 5th one going over and deny any Void Might spawn here. As Kurak's looking at Ryoma, but we'll just say hello. Wave goodbye as his teammates picking up this dragon.
Yep, seemingly all he's going to do on this occasion, just a bit of a cheeky drive-by to keep him locked on down. Let's sort of back to this replay initially, because it's the Nature's Grass that starts it all off, but then this Kanga saying, let's go for this play.
Yeah, because the initial stun is found onto Ryoma, who gets chunked out quite heavily at the start of this fight, but simply there's a nice zoning job done by Swiper to keep the members of Kanga occupied while the Tempered Fate comes out, and that means that once King comes out of that stasis, there are low health bars for Kanga. They don't feel confident chasing into this Kalista, and that means that the play will come to an end there. As you can see out of that, it feels like every time we check in with the gold and with the items for Kanga, it's Invictus who is on top. 2-0-1 here, 100% KP, and has that Leandri's completed. So a force to be reckoned with here in the jungle.
He certainly is a force to be reckoned with, and no doubt really wants to try and unleash it, because his direct counterpart in the Vi is definitely lagging behind. And you can see, as a result of this, he is so far ahead in the lead with the gold. It's only Ryoma that can eclipse him at this stage. It really is the battle of those AP champions, looking to deal the most damage. He's the only one with that completed item right now, and I'm sure he'll be screaming to his team, let's force a fight. I've got Leandri's, let's make it happen.
Yeah, we'll definitely be looking to get active on the map here, especially linking up with Kurak to provide some CC while he dishes out all that damage. As you can see, the lane assignments again a bit stock standard here, with Rhea Fury coming down towards the bot lane. It will be Styx in the mid lane on this Ezreal trying to fight against Ryoma, who just has so much damage, so much wave control on this Orianna. And without a dragon spawning, it almost feels like these teams are just fighting, they're just jostling for the sake of it at this point.
It certainly does feel that way, right? And in terms of the previous point, be it that Invictus wants to fight, what is there really to fight for? There is no major objective, and you will just have to wait 50 seconds for that very first Herald to spawn, but it does give enough time for Antic to try and match their power. And Sunder Sky does now come online here for Swiper. I suppose in terms of their bread and butter combo, you would say that the Vi Orianna is almost a variation of the Nocturne Engage. Going to be certainly a case of the ball delivery system working in their favor. But I'm curious, what target would be their preference? Because surely it's a bait to go for Ezreal.
It's hard to tell right now. I think you'd actually be looking at Invictus to be the one to blow up with that ultimate combo. I think that this brand just provides too much damage at this point in the game, especially if he's able to hit multiple members, which really, with how short range Kalista is, we'll be probably needing to play into Brand's effective range, and that means that, that ultimate coming out plus all of his passive procs can really pose a significant threat in terms of blowing open a team fight. But looks like for the time being, no fight will be had. Instead, the Rift Herald will be the priority here for Kanga, as Antic trade on the bot side of the map. Ryoma getting funneled even more gold to make sure he stays healthily on top of that gold grab.
And they've just done this time and time again tonight, haven't they? They just said, look, we do not really care about these objectives. We want map control. Map control isn't about this potential gold that could be acquired from that Herald charge. It's much more about gaining a lead with numbers in the right place at the right time. And it really does allow them to try and get themselves that very first turret. And as you say, and quite rightly point out, funnel more and more into him to make sure that he continues to be the most fed member in this game.
Speaking of fed members though, Styx here on this Ezreal doing quite a nice job of staying up there in CS. You can see he's got 150 gold bounty on his head that will just expire after that turret is taken, but Rhea Fury has been caught.
Yeah, cease and desist onto Rhea Fury with the shockwave. Oh, 3 burns to flash. Oh, that's a tragedy. Oh, that feels so bad for the fallen member of Kanga there. But they're going to instantly respond on back and say, well, we are going to find a trade of some sorts. You take our mid laner, we take your mid tower.
That really hurts there for Rhea Fury, expending the Summoner Flash as well, but also just gets caught by it and goes down. And off the back end of that, yes, there will be this Herald Summon in the mid lane, but Kanga won't be able to break this second tier turret, whereas on the bottom side of the map, Antic will be able to take that tier 2, and that is such a big injection of gold into Ryoma. 50 CS ahead here on this Orianna. And he's going for the Luden's build as well here, but Invictus looking to chase here. He does have Kurak a little bit behind him. As we saw previously, a brand without Rylai's doesn't really have much in the wheelhouse to actually chase down those kills. Won't stop them from trying though.
Certainly won't stop them from trying as they go for the flash, and Roman needs to hit those fancy feet but still get stunned up. And the Cosmic biting into the True Shot Barrage. It's overkill, but they do get that kill that they so sorely needed. Invictus now 3-0-1. Wooden flashing in with the World Ender, and he really is just doing that right now. Looking to try and shut down Antic. King once again locked in that golden stasis. He instantly flashes away from that Scatter of the Week. I tell you what, Kanga, that was a beautiful punishment.
Invictus making me eat my words there, plays that chase so well. I'm sure we'll get a replay of it, but the initial fight, he starts off like just casting the ultimate and just walking next to King, baiting out the flash because he thinks a Q's going to come through, holds it to the very last second, and we can take a look once again. So Ryoma there is just so caught off, no mana to speak of, finds the Q stun there despite all his dodging, and then with the Bard chained over the top of it, it's the easiest W of Invictus's life. And you know, yes, Antic are able to bring Zoranus down off the back end of that play, but by the time he arrives, there's already 2 dead. And the counter TP will make sure no one else falls down there. So a team fight, and in the live replay as well, you can see a Dragon going over to Kanga as a result.
It's not very often you'd say that a team like Antic with all their years of experience and titles won get out macro, but quite honestly, Kanga have really done them a number there. They've not only found those kills, they've punished at the right time, and it's really actually allowed them to swing the gold back to an even state. And this is really promising signs, I think, in the most recent times, right? Given that Fury are challenging Bliss, Kanga now are giving it really to Antic in the second game. And it definitely keeps you scratching head as to, yeah, really what these playoffs really could look like. There's Roma once again at the top of the table, not to be surprised. He does fall on down in that play, but did get 2 towers and a kill in the process, and will be the first to hit 8,000 gold.
Yeah, he's feeling fantastic here right now. You can see just how far ahead he's on Ryu Fury as he uses the shockwave there. Oh, chunks him out really hard, and there is no flash here on this Syndra. So he'll be forced to back away there. We'll just pick up the straggling CS there. You can already see, right, this Syndra, not only is Orianna incredibly ahead, but it's also a mid laner who's very far behind from the side of Kanga. Only 116 CS, but Kurak
looking for the kill. Beautiful Cosmic Binding there on towards the minion. Roma in trouble, but the shield may just be enough to prevent him from ticking on down to the dots of that brand. He's got to run. He has no shockwave, and his teammate have no extra protection. The flash! Him to be burnt there to dodge out of that Tempered Fate. And look, all these toolkits from the side of Kanga are really causing Antic issues.
Yeah, this jungle support pairing once again moving around the map and finding a lot of value. The CC coming out from either one really supplement each other, but the TP's coming through. They want to kill Ryu Fury.
As they overextend, it is just the curse of a mid laner. One stays around a little bit too long to try and bite off more than they could chew. He goes for the Unleashed Power, and he'll say, I'll take you to the grave with me, Dragku. Not bad, given the numbers deficit.
Yeah, I really don't think Dragku had to go back in there, especially with that TP coming through. I think you just run him down without flash there on the Syndra. Nevertheless, Ryu Fury will fall on down, and it'll open up a window for King to crack open this top lane turret as well. Really such an even game state. Only 300 gold is the difference between these two teams, and with such a large CS gap in the middle, you can see that really all of that gold difference is in the jungle there. Invictus, 2 items completed, now has a Rylai's to supplement the Leandre's, and is going to be such a menace in both these extended fights as well as these quick little skirmishes.
Yeah, you can see from the side of Antic, it's a case of trying to get as much of this magic resistance online as quickly as they can, because that damage is starting to add on up. Not to mention, by the time Ryu Fury does catch up, be it with the CS or even with stacks, I think it was last on about 70, and you need 120 to get that extra 15% boost to your ability power. He needs more time, but it has become a difficult task to try and achieve. And now he's just going to be playing it very passively underneath that top tier 2.
Yeah, he's down a full item, right, compared to Ryoma, so really does need to pay respect, really does need his teammates in the area to be able to contest any waves really beyond his turret. So certainly putting a burden onto the rest of Kanga, who sticks here in the mid lane.
Let me see if they can find anything as Swipe, and as he jumps across that wall, they bait them in with that shockwave. Only hitting Invictus, but not lethal enough to get the kill. Fancy feat by Ryoma to dodge out the Tempered Fate. And Kurik on this occasion is unable to find his prize.
It was so close there though. Ryoma, just without flash for the time being, would have fallen down if that Tempered Fate lands, but just has the mechanics, has the mobility to be able to dodge that. And this Orianna will come back into the next team fight with her flash available. Same can be said for King. So with all summoners available, all summoners on the cards, we really do have a massive potential for a micro masterclass in our next fight.
Certainly would expect so, right? The amount of lockdown that Kanga have, and it's certainly necessary. We mentioned very early on into this draft they have an abundance of damage, but it's very hard for them to try and play from behind if they are forced to face check all these tanky members of Antic. They have the damage to shred those tanks down, but they don't have the natural sustain to try and weather those very extended fights, as Antic do have that very much blow up one target and really run away with the fight as a result. That exhaust may just be the difference maker here from the side of Styx to try and shut down either the explosive nature of that shockwave or make King's life as a Kalista very miserable.
He's not feeling too miserable at this point though. Gwinsu's Rage Blade just completed there, so a very big on-hit threat, especially as these fights drag out with the stacks of the lethal tempo, those Ren Spears just impaling somebody off the back end of the fight. And with this next Chemtech Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, it'll be interesting to see what the value is placed on it from the side of Kanga. You can see they clear out the Baron Vision, make sure they've got some wards on that to deny a potential play there. And they're going to bring their team down towards this mid lane. They've got the inner track on that. They've pushed the wave in first. And they're going to head towards this dragon.
Yeah, they certainly are. How do Antic want to try and position for this one, right? Side lanes are pushing in their favor, but they have lost control of mid lane, and it is going to result in Draku summoning that Nature's Grasp. Magic Portal going to be used to good success as they can look to try and disengage away and make sure that there's no easy avenue then for Antic to pursue. But they will just then turn their attention right back to where they were before and onto that third dragon.
That's a really nice body to be able to get out of there, right? They use the Nature's Grasp. It's a big component of Antic's engage that won't find any value, and it just will be that dragon going over. Now keep in mind there is this push onto the mid lane from Antic. Styx, bit of risky territory there, but Antic will be able to crack this mid lane tier turret. That will be the cost of Kanga getting on Soul Point with that dragon.
Soul Point is certainly a scary prospect here as the game continues to be held in limbo. Nothing really has separated these two in this game too. And we're 23 minutes into this. The gold disparities are felt in different positions, right? Obviously Invictus is crushing it in the jungle, but the same could be said then for Ryome in the mid lane. So a bit of a disparity between that mid-jungle pairing. And as for Styx, he's kept this Kalista at bay. He's managed to match that 2-item spike of King. And it's definitely showcasing why this Ezreal is his go-to champion. As the Magical Journey gets King, or rather Kurek, out of harm's way. The Blast Cone knocking Wood into safety, and Swiper under a lot of trouble as the Shockwave guarantees that Refury's going to get on lockdown. King, instant flash away out of that Tempered Fate, and once again, we don't see anybody dying, but people dangerously low.
A lot of flashes, but where are the kills off the back end of that? Both teams actually managing to disengage the play completely there, as it looked a bit precarious for Woodon to start the proceedings. King though, no flash, he might get caught out by Kurak.
He's in a lot of trouble right now, as you say. He has nothing really to try and bail him out, apart from the Chemtech man with that fantastic Blast Cone to really take him such an extra distance. But Kanga might just say, hey, is this a tempo play? Straight to Baron.
I just want to shout out that little bug there with the Blast Cone. It happened in the LEC there, and it happened to us then. You can see the instant respawn coming back, enabling Kurak there to get out. Doesn't actually secure him a kill, and isn't game-breaking by any means. But definitely a little bug that we have picked up there. Now, as the game returns to even, we see that, across the board, 1,000 gold only separating these teams. And right now, that really isn't consequential at all with the stats that are being gained from these Chemtech Dragons. Really is going to come down to execution. But the big summoners to keep your eye on are those of King, right? This Kalista, who is going to need to play in a relatively short range just because of her champion. Her losing summoners is incredibly important, especially against the likes of a Brandon Aatrox, who are going to be looking to hunt you down at all costs.
They certainly are, and they had the damage to do it at this point, right? Edge of Night, as well as that Profane Hydra, Wooden packs a punch. It's a very scary prospect, especially if going to be working with either the jungle or the mid laner. But right now, they are very much attending to these side lanes, and Antic being fully aware of this one, say, Refury has no TP. He has to make a massive journey all the way from bot lane. We can force this 5v4.
Yeah, greedy here from Refury. He's going to walk up now, but the Baron's 4k, and there are Kalista Spears in it. Can they steal it?
Temper Fate being burnt. That's going to buy them crucial time right now, but Wooden jumps across the pit into this one. Looking to try and contest it, and they steal it! Invictus with the burn damages the Brand in a 4v5. They steal away the Baron. They reclaim the gold lead. And is this the tide, or is this the moment that turns the tide of the series?
I don't even know how he did that, Skimmy. You could see that all the members of Antic were occupied with Woodon in the pit. Invictus just strolls in, doesn't even have to flash, and picks up the Baron there. So that is a huge turning point for the side of Kanga. They had Syndra in the bot lane who had to walk all the way up. You kind of assumed it was a done deal, even with the Callista Spears in there. But somehow Invictus makes it happen. Let's take a look again here, because Woodon does a fantastic job of disrupting in the pit, right? Getting over here with the World Ender and the Tempered Fate. It buys time. You can see Kurak actually eats the root from the Maokai ultimate, and that enables Invictus to just walk in and steal the Baron. And off the back end here, Kurak trading flashes with Ryoma. You're happy with that every day of the week.
You certainly are very happy with that one. And now this game becomes fairly interesting. What happens now? How do Kanga look to try and utilize this Baron buff? And what do Antic do to get themselves out of a sticky situation? That blast cone, maybe the best one I've ever seen.
Yeah, getting Ria Fury out of harm's way. Invictus has to use the flash because he's afraid of that Vi ultimate being targeted on towards him. And you can see Antic, despite losing the Baron, still very willing to push the pace of the game now. 50 seconds, 40 now on this Chemtech Dragon. This would be the soul for Kanga. How do they respond? King's Flash, you have to imagine, will just be still on cooldown when that spawns. So they're going to have to take a fight without those summoners. Neither carry having access to that flash might be crucial against a Tempered Fate. They're going to have to walk in. How are they going to do it?
That is the ultimate question right now, because Kanga do reign supreme. They've got full control of the map, which you wouldn't expect if you're just shooting into this one and take a bit of a stock check of the map, or rather the league standings. You would think that Antic, with all their years of experience in their current position of getting second seed, would be enough to take out the 6th seed of Kanga, but it's not to be the case right now. There's the Nature's Grass once again, locks down members, but it's a magical journey that gets them out to safety. And with the Baron buff, they're not looking to try and siege right now. They want to use that as a combat power to guarantee that that soul point belongs to them.
They're just going to get it. There's no mid-wave either that's immediately coming in for Antic, so a response here won't be evident. It'll just be the soul picked up for Kanga. You can see all the control they have thanks to that Baron buff and thanks to the vision. Really just enabled to get them to get in there unharmed. And now Antic desperately trying to find a play in response, but because Kanga had done such a good job of addressing the waves before that fight started, they will be able to get out with not a single turret lost in response.
Pretty phenomenal turn of events here, you'd have to say. And quite honestly, I don't think this is a game where Kanga mind that it's the Chemtech Soul that they've acquired, right? The fact is there is so much volatility in this one, be it the Dragon Soul, when you are below that 50% threshold, you do more damage, you take less damage, probably is the best case scenario for them.
Well, I mean, especially against the Callista, right? I'm just trying to imagine the way that she'll be stacking spears against you, and that damage reduction when you are, you know, below 50% health, certainly going to be feeling nice to avoid a potential rip out of those spears as the stun lands onto King. Little cheeky one there, but it won't amount to anything off the back end. And you can see the Baron has timed out for Kanga, so there's no longer that big wave threat. But all 5 members are here on the mid lane. We know that Antic are a team that wants to pull the trigger whenever they get the opportunity. But they won't be able to find it just now.
No, but Kanga is certainly doing a good job at denying them, right, and saying, we'll keep you occupied in the mid lane, and Woodon will then go for that split push in top, look to try and force some pressure elsewhere, make sure that Antic don't get that easy execution that they're looking to try and hunt for. Swiper jumps in with that cease and desist, Fate's Call, knocks them up for a second time, but Invictus simply refuses to die. Zonus on the flank, goes all out, looks to try to assassinate somebody, and eventually Fury falls on down. The magical journey brings everybody back, and the Intofo strikes don't work in their favor. Woodon has turned up here, and he's put in a hero's effort, but it's not enough to try and prevent them from losing this team fight. In the end, Antic just out team fight them.
Yeah, they finally engage on the mid wave. It's Swiper who pulls the trigger, and initially the response is good from Kanga. A Tempered Fade out to kind of separate the fight and buy time for his carries to get out. Somehow Invictus manages to live, but off the back end of it, it's the shockwave that's huge. As we take a look at how it all started off, you can see Correct just getting a little bit overconfident, allows Swiper to charge forwards and get on towards Invictus, but it's that Tempered Fate there that buys all this time for King, who's just really sat there in stasis, not able to hit any targets. Means that once he gets in, the rest of Kanga has managed to get out. And off the back end of this, you think, okay, it's going in Kanga's favor, but the Shockwave still available, finds 2 members, and really is the fight decider.
Certainly is the fight decider, and it feels almost very fitting for the style of Antic, right? They always want to try and team fight their way out of a poor position. And that is a prime example of them saying, you may have the gold lead, you may have the buff power, but ultimately, we had the mechanics to scout out an opportunity. And all it took was for Woodon to reveal himself in that top lane. Right back into the action, out of the replay, and a magical journey that takes all 4 passengers through the taxi, but a cosmic binding that punishes them for that attempt.
Everybody there was looking at Karakas. Now they're looking at Styx.
They certainly are. They're going to look to try and take down Styx, who's been so elusive all game long. 0-0-4, and still preserves that perfect KDA 31 minutes in.
Will have to use the flash there, though. That's a summoner down for Ezreal, and with Baron spawning in 10 seconds, you need all the survivability you can get here. A nice engage pull there. The big, I guess, saving grace there for Kanga is that there's no shockwave to come through as a result. But here looks at Ryoma. He wants to find the solo kill.
He wants to find the solo kill. He's used his entire combo and literally gets outplayed. And Ryoma says, my carry just does a little bit more damage than yours.
That's what happens when you have a death cap and the enemy mid laner doesn't. But in response here, this Baron will be started up here from the side of Kanga. They have a brand that burns out very quickly. Swiper is in the area though.
Well, they need to use that Tempered Fate. It's not even available right now as the fight does begin, and there is the ability to try and run away with that magical journey, but the Baron is still being looked at right now. Down to 3k, getting closer and closer to smite range, and it is going to be stolen away! What is Invictus? What is he doing? This man is unleashed. He wants that contract renewed. He wants to showcase that a rookie can really pop off.
This time he loses his life for it, but he gets the Baron, and that is the important thing there. A 5v4, but Invictus just doing so much damage, and he's able to catch Swiper off guard. The smite once again going in his favor. As let's take a look again here, you can see Kanga, they pull the trigger on this after that solo kill happens in the bot lane. They want to take advantage of that timer where a TP is coming through from Ryoma. But all the damage, look how much damage Brand is doing here. And he has vision on this from the control ward. Flashes over and steals his second Baron of this game.
Certainly doesn't feel good there. If you're a Swiper, you're thinking, look, man, I'm a role swap jungler. I just want to vibe with the rest of my team. But denied on the retake of that Baron pick, you're thinking, had Antic done enough there to reclaim the Baron? And this time, pull that Uno reverse card and steal it away. And Invictus, that man on your screen right now, just simply says no.
He's smiling, he's happy with himself, and why not? Honestly, even in game 1, he had a fantastic showing on this Brand. So it's all smiles for Kanga here, who are now wearing that newly adorned Baron buff that they picked up for the second time in this game. And Skimmy, as this game goes on, you know, Kalista isn't the best champion in those late game stages. You know, obviously Ezreal will still be able to have a decent time in that matchup. But as this game goes on, this Brand and this Aatrox, this Syndra, who might finally be able to get items online, really do start to become a worry.
They certainly do become a bit of a worry, and I think that is the concern in the back of the mind there for Antic, is that whilst Roma is infinitely stronger than that of Fury, it's only a matter of time before he hits that power spike, and certainly time is going to be of the essence, because it's been very far and few between that games have gone the distance where an Elder Dragon does spawn, but it does certainly feel like, Max, that's the angle we're heading towards.
Yeah, we are. Honestly, I think we absolutely will be, given the game state. Yes, the Baron buff is picked up, but there's certainly no major opportunities to be taken to blow open the game immediately here. As we do come back from our pause, luckily it is a bit of a brief one. You can see across the board, almost everyone is heading towards their 4th items now. Ezreal actually opted for the LDR instead of the Seryldas, trying to itemize into that crit, and I think especially that Giant Slayer passive will feel quite nice into the tankier members that are there on Antic. As we take a look at the total gold, no surprises there that Ryoma is sitting on top of that gold graph. You can see just in his item shop, he's up 100 CS over Ryu Fury. Has that death cap completed, 8 seals on the 8 stacks rather on the Dark Seal, and is working his way towards that Void Staff. So, you know, yes, you can have all the gold in the world on Invictus and Styx, but still a single shockwave lands, and the fight and the game might be over.
Certainly could be over just off that alone, as you saw there, a 3k lead over the Syndra, and it really is. Ryoma and King looking to try and get it done right now with the most gold in this game. The only 2 members on their side that have a bounty, and certainly a hotly contested prize that Kanga, I should say, will be hunting and hoping to try and lock on down. Well, that all-important Elder is about to spawn 5 seconds away right now, and control becomes of the utmost important. Vision, a sense of positioning. And for Zoranis, look at him on that cheeky little flank up say top.
Yes, this is a whole mission that he's gone on here as he engages onto Woodon.
Looking for Woodon right now as King's looking to try and cut away from this one. The Tempered Fate locking in multiple members through stasis, but that Fate's Call buffers it, so Draku jumps back out. Woodon perseveres. Syndra finds one. The Shockwave's massive onto 3, and that sets them up on a silver platter to say good night, sweet dreams.
Does Invictus get out though? That's the crucial thing. He actually is looking like he's going to be able to live here. Woodon has TP'd back in here. He's got a lot of damage on this Aatrox.
This is unbelievable. How does Invictus not fall on down in that play? You can see the amount of damage that Ryoma did in that fight, but it wasn't to be enough. He dies in the end, and it's only Zornis that is left to stand the test of time. And Max, Kanga are going to get the Elder.
I mean, to think that this is a game which has no impact on the standings whatsoever. Kurak as well looking at Zornis here. This is a very tanky Cassante. I'd be very surprised if he's actually able to kill him here. But you're absolutely right. It'll be the Elder coming out as Woodon and Invictus both living by a sliver of health. As we take a look once again here, you can see Draku thinks Woodon is picked off by himself, but that Chemtech Soul does so much value. He's not able to actually find the kill upon re-engaging here. And then that Valkyrie is in so deep. It's a big shockwave off the back, but keep your eye on Woodon here. He gets the base off and manages to channel the TP instantly back in. So by the time he arrives, Invictus somehow, I'd have to check that HP, but it looks like he's on basically 5 HP. But once this Aatrox is back, he has more than enough damage to kill this Vi. And in what is, once again, an incredibly close fight, Kanga come out on top and secure the Elder Dragon.
Incredible, absolutely incredible. The fact that both Woodon and they don't die again. Unbelievable, Roma's gone. You can't even finish your sentence. He's down for a full minute. And I tell you what, Max, if this is not the game that Kanga win, then what game would they ever win? They have everything you can imagine.
Don't jinx it, Skimmy. You can see they've got the mid-wave here. Woodon's going to bodyguard it, so Zornis can't cut it, but he's still going to look to do it. If they take this wave out, there's no Baron, and that's going to really put a thorn in the plans of Antic, but here goes Kanga.
He really is going all out, both in ultimate and in efforts to try and deny them from ending the game right now. That Elder is very close to zapping him down for the execute. He's just trying to bait them. He's just trying to take them on a bit of a magical journey, and Bard says, that's what I do, not you. As he peppers him from afar, make sure the kill goes in the right hands for Woodon here. As he just looks to lock him down, and zap, he's gone.
It's another kill going in favor of Kanga, but Styx, he's getting engaged upon.
He's arcade shifted away. He doesn't have the luxury of a flash. He's burned all that mobility, and a true shot barrage looks nice, but not enough to survive. King is going to tick on down. Invictus picks them up. The Leandries and the brand passive. It's just too much. He's 7-1-7, and he certainly has been the standout player.
Those are some really long death timers here. Ryoma has respawned for Antic. He's got a lot of wave clear, but Kurak not going to allow him to actually get towards that. Tempered Fate!
Tempered Fate's landed. It's easy pickings now. As soon as he comes out of that one, he's going to be met with a world of pain. The shockwave looks good, but it's not enough to execute anybody to take them out of consideration here. And Kanga marching through the mid lane with one target in mind. Let's hit this Nexus. Let's end this game. Let's get that upset. And let's show what we can do into these big dogs. Second seed defeated by the 6th seed. And a perfect ace for them to take the Nexus and to walk away with a point.
I don't believe it, Skimmy. Antic haven't fallen down, all split except for Team Bliss. And now we can add Kanga to the list of teams that have defeated them. What a game. What a performance to get the 1-1 there from Kanga.
This really is a great time to be an LCO fan. You're getting upsets all over the show. The big dogs defeated by the new up-and-comers. A mix of experience taken down by a keenness to showcase that they deserve to be here at the highest level that Oceania has to offer. We asked the question, could Kanga bring it back in Game 2? And they most certainly have. We'll see you right after this break.